everybody, Ben Frederickson here alongside Jeff Gordon. Happy Thanksgiving. Gordo, we're going to sink our teeth into a baseball discussion here. We talked a little bit recently about the Craig Counsell hire by the Cubs in Milwaukee. I want to talk manager trends. There's this thing going on in baseball where we're seeing kind of a conflict. You're seeing some managers are promoted from bench coach. They're basically an extension from the front office. Keep the system rolling. Have consistency there. If someone leaves, just promote from within. The Cardinals have played by this playbook. You're also seeing some other managers that are going a little more old school. Some teams like Bruce Bochy that go and win the World Series. They bring in Bruce, and all of a sudden he looks like a guy that was the right guy to lead this team from outside. There's a debate going on. I think I know which way you lean. Does it have to be black and white? Do you have to be old school or new school when it comes to managers? And what do you think about all this?
Well, I am an old guy, so I am old school. I mean, I remember Earl Weaver, Jimmy Fry. You look at, obviously, Whitey Herzog, the time he had here managing with his gut, particularly in the postseason. Tony La Russa, preparation guy, yeah. Managed from his gut, sure. What I liked about the old school guys is they knew in their heart who they could trust. And in the case, Tony had some guys he couldn't trust and didn't want any more on the team, or didn't want to put him in the game, didn't want him around. Didn't want to know the numbers, didn't want to hear from the analytics department on some guys. They knew in their heart guys we could trust in certain situations. I think there's an element that will never go away in baseball, managing people, and I think the old school guys, the good ones, the Bruce Bochys, are masters at that. So if we ever lose that from the game, and I'm not saying Ollie Marmol was bad at that. He really tried to keep the temperature check every single day with his team and see where they were. But man, the guys who are running the business, all these guys that could have been on Wall Street instead, Ben Fred, they worry me.
Well, I'll tell you, it seems to me that here's what worries me is the discussion that it's either one or the other. That you're either a manager who knows what a pitcher's spin rate is, or you're a guy who says, I watched his bullpen and let me tell you, he's throwing the ball well. You can be in between. You can know the advanced metrics on a pitcher, on a player. You can know what a player's splits are in a spot, in a setting, and use that to inform your decision making. I think you can also know that and say, I'm going to go against it. And I think knowing it, you have to know it as a modern manager. You don't always have to play into it. I think knowing when to pick your spots to go against the grain is the absolute key. There will always, as you said, be a place and time for that. But I think the rub is there are managers now that can and have the autonomy to do that when the moment calls for it, and there are managers that don't. There are managers that if they don't make that by the numbers call, by what their analytics department, by what the iPad tells them in the dugout, what the pregame script says, that they're going to get a talking to after the game. In the front office and its representatives are going to know why you didn't do that. Players know that stuff, Gordo. Players know in the heat of the moment if they're being pulled from the mound or if they're not getting in at bat or if they are, who's deciding it. In their eyes, they can see a manager is doing something that is being told to him or what was told to him pregame versus the manager's addressing what he sees in the moment. And I think if you're a modern manager without the cachet of a Bruce Bochy or a Dusty Baker, who's now saying, enough with this, I'll go make wine, I think players pick up on that, and I think they know, and I think that absolutely affects managerial-player relationships. And it doesn't surprise me that managers who still have the ability, when the live ammunition starts firing, Gordo, they're the ones making the call. They pregame prep. They may have a script, but they know when they can go off of it, and they have the ability to do so and the confidence to do so. I think that absolutely affects players.
You know, and the players know amongst themselves who they can rely on, who do they want to see in a situation. They know. The players know, right? And so when a stat guy says, you know what, there's no such thing, there's no evidence that clutch hitting is a thing. Try to tell a ball player that, oh yeah, that's a myth. No, they know, they want to see certain guys in certain situations on the mound and at the plate. They know, the manager knows. I just hope to God that someday the analytics guys can actually quantify
yes.
clutch hitting
yes.
or clutch pitching so that they can go ahead and use that tool during the game for the manager who's got his script. They've run the Sims 27 times in a row. It worked this way. The Sims tell us it didn't. No. Let the man do his job.
Tony would like to tell reporters, I'd like to manage against you someday. I do think at some point in time, maybe some of the front office types that are like to control the managers, maybe they should get in the dugout. Maybe they should have to be the one who goes out and takes the ball away. Maybe they should have to be the guy delivering the messages in the clubhouse. Being a baseball manager is a great job. There's only 30 of them, Gordo. but it's got to be one of the hardest jobs in
God.
baseball right now. It's got to be one of the most thankless jobs in baseball. Because if you do something right, everybody thinks the front office told you to do it. If you do something wrong, everybody thinks you're a buffoon. I mean, it's a very thankless position right now. I do think allowing those guys to have some autonomy, the best teams are realizing that's still the case. You got to have the right guy. You got to trust him to go with his heart, with his guts in the moment. It doesn't mean you can't prep and plan for it. So we've solved it, as always here.
Listen to us, we know.
Yeah, and we'll tackle another huge topic in baseball, but maybe time Christmas rolls around. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for always checking out stlta.com for all of your Cardinals coverage, and keep it locked there through the holidays for more. For Jeff Gordon, I'm Ben Frederickson. We'll talk to you next time.